Hi Junior Rangers, welcome to today's Junior Ranger program. My name is Michelle and I work for California State Parks in the Oceano Dunes District. Today's program is all about animal skulls. We're going to learn all about how we can use animal skulls to learn more about the animals they come from, like what they eat and if the animal is a predator or a prey. After we learn more about animal skulls, we're going to do an activity together. Information on how to receive a printable version of today's activity will be included at the end. Let's start. Did you know you can learn more about animals by studying their skulls? Today we're going to talk about different animal eating habits and their vision depending on their skull. Before we discover more about these skulls, let's learn some important vocabulary. Our first word is herbivore. Herbivores are animals that eat a plant-based diet. Carnivore, an animal that has a diet of only meat. Omnivore, an animal that eats both plants and other animals. Molar tooth, a broad tooth located in the back of the mouth used for chewing food. Canine teeth, the four pointed teeth in the front of the jaw. Incisor teeth, teeth adapted for cutting located at the front of the mouth. Sagittal crest, an elevated ridge at the top of the skull where the jaw muscles attach. Orbit, the cavity in the skull that holds the eye, also known as an eye socket. Predator, an animal that eats other animals. And our last word is prey, an animal that is hunted for food. You guys are awesome learners. Now that we know what these words mean, let's take a look at some actual animal skulls. We're now going to compare and contrast carnivore skulls with herbivore skulls. Let's start by looking at their teeth. Sharp, jagged, and blade-shaped molars indicate that this animal eats meat. Sharp molars are used for shredding meat into smaller pieces. Carnivores, or meat eaters, don't really need to chew their food because they tend to swallow their prey mostly whole. Herbivores, or plant eaters, have large molars that are broad with a flat top as opposed to a jagged edge. These are used for grinding up plants and seeds. Plant material is harder for an animal to digest than meat, so they must break it down before swallowing. Skulls of carnivores will have canine teeth that are long, sharp, and curved, like this skull here. Carnivores use their canine teeth to rip and tear meat or catch and hold prey. Herbivores don't need large canines because they don't have to worry about their food getting away from them. Some herbivores have them, but they're much smaller and dull than those of a carnivore. Carnivores have short and pointed incisors that are used to groom themselves, not to eat plant material. Have you ever seen a cat or dog grooming or itching themselves with their front teeth? Herbivores use their incisor teeth to cut plants. This skull has wide, flat, and spade-shaped incisors to help it break off leaves and twigs. These are the same teeth that you would use when biting into an apple. Now let's look at other parts of the skull, starting with the sagittal crest. A carnivore needs strong jaw muscles to help it capture prey and hold on. The jaw muscles attach onto the sagittal crest. So carnivore will have a very defined sagittal crest. An herbivore doesn't need to have as strong of jaw muscles because they're only eating soft plant material. Since they don't bite into tough things, they don't need powerful jaws, which means they'll have little to no sagittal crest. Predatory animals have forward-facing eyes to help them see ahead of them while stalking and hunting prey. Herbivores are generally prey animals. This means that they are constantly on alert to ensure they aren't attacked by predators. To protect themselves, they have eyes that are more on the side or top of their heads so they can see all around them. This is useful so they can look all around for predators that might be after them. The larger the orbit, the better the eyesight of the animal. For example, mountain lions have large orbits, which means they have very acute vision. Nocturnal animals typically have large eyes, which is why they have such keen night vision. Animals with small orbits, meaning in relation to the size of their skulls, usually means they have poor eyesight. Because predators have eyes in the forward position, this gives them a greater degree of binocular vision. Binocular vision means that both eyes are focused on an object, which provides the animal with a greater ability to judge distance, which is depth perception. This is one thing that gives predators an advantage when hunting and attacking prey. However, you can see in this diagram, they have a large blind spot behind their heads, similar to us. The side-facing orbits on herbivores limits their binocular vision, but gives them better peripheral vision, or their field of view on the side. They have monocular vision, which means they see objects with only one eye instead of both like our vision. Each eye has a field of view of almost 180 degrees. By using both eyes, these animals have a 360-degree field of view. This means they have a greater ability to locate predators. On a skull, you can see where their nose would be. The size of nasal passages tells us more about the animal's sense of smell. Nasal turbinates are bony structures inside nasal passages that make up the framework of the membranes that are responsible for sensing odors. Animals with large nasal structures have a greater sense of smell than animals with smaller nasal structures. Long nasal cavities allow for larger turbinate structures, which increases the surface area where smells are sensed by the animal. See how long the nasal passages appear on this bear skull? Their long nasal cavity means more room for enlarged turbinates. That means they have an incredible sense of smell. Junior Rangers, we just learned so much. Now I want to show you some of my favorite animal skulls back at my office. Can you guess what animal this skull belongs to? That's right, it's a beaver skull. And what about this tiny skull? This is the itty-bitty skull of a ruby-throated hummingbird. Speaking of tiny, who belongs to this little skull? This is a little brown bat skull. Look how sharp its teeth are. Are you ready for an activity? It's called What Do I Eat? Here's the materials you'll need. Here's where you can find the activity page. If you don't have a printer, don't worry. Just recreate it on a paper you already have. Here's how it's going to go down. I'm going to show you 3 different skulls. As we inspect them, make notes on your worksheet or scratch a piece of paper on what you discover. This is just an example. But if you're using the worksheet like this one here, circle which description matches each part of the skull we just learned about. Following the instructions on the activity page, you'll be able to determine if each skull is from an herbivore, a carnivore, or an omnivore. Make sure you pause on the next slide to be able to study skull number 1. How'd you do? Did you get any correct? The last skull was tricky because bears are omnivores. This is a real bear skull. They eat plants and meat. They have large, sharp canine teeth like a carnivore, but they also have wide and somewhat flat molar teeth for chewing plants. See this gap right here? Carnivores don't have this gap. Bears use this gap for stripping leaves off branches. They bite down on a branch and then pull their heads to scrape the leaves off. Pretty cool. Guess what? You just completed the Animal Skulls Junior Ranger program. That means I can lead you in our Junior Ranger pledge to make it official. See you in a second. Hi, it's Interpreter Michelle here at Oceano Dunes District. If you're watching this, it means you've completed a virtual Junior Ranger program and it's time for the next step, saying the Junior Ranger pledge and being sworn in as an official Junior Ranger. So, if you're ready, stand up, raise your right hand and repeat this pledge after me. As a Junior Ranger, I promise to explore our parks and pick up litter, to protect every plant and every critter, to learn important stories of our past so that these treasured places last. I will keep our parks out of danger because I am a Junior Ranger. Wow, congratulations. Welcome to the team, Junior Rangers. We're glad to have you.